Welcome to the Plant Spirit Podcast on connecting with plant consciousness and the healing wisdom of nature. I'm your host, Sarah Artemisia, and I'm excited to introduce our next guest to the show today. Pam Montgomery is an incredible herbalist, author, international teacher, and lover of the green ones, who has passionately embraced her role as a spokesperson for the green beings for over 3 decades. She is also the author of several books, including Plant Spirit Healing and Co-Creating with Nature. So Pam, thank you so much for joining us today. Such a delight to have you with us.
Thank you, Sarah. It's always a pleasure.
So great. Of course, love you, love your work, and so love how you are deeply working in this experience of co-creatively being with nature. And so when you speak about this co-creatively living with nature, can you tell us more about what this is? This feels really key to me with the massive global transition that we're currently in right now.
Yes. Yes. When I speak of I'm referring to co-creative partnerships. So when I say co-creatively, I mean that we actually can be in a partnership with nature and all that is incorporated into nature. And I particularly like to speak about the plants since I'm a real plant person and I just love the plants and they're my dear hearts. And so co-creative partnership kind of is what it sounds like. It's being in a partnership, and this is like a really good functional partnership and one that works. And co means that we're in this together. It's an equal partnership. So we're moving away from the idea that humans are the crown of creation, which we've been taught that basically that we're it, and that the rest of nature is below us. When that's not really true, we are as equal as the rest of nature, and it's imperative that we have the plants and the trees because they're the ones that give us our life. So anyway, a co-creative partnership is just that. It's that together you create, you manifest together, and this manifestation is one that works for all concerned, everybody, not just humans. And so it's very it's a big shift away from what our way of thinking, predominant thinking, has been for a long time, but especially since Darwin, crown of creation and all of that. So, but even before then. So for our times right now that we're living in, it's so important for us to be shifting our relationship with nature into one that's sustainable and works not only for us, but that works for the rest of nature as well. Because once we start to lose too much of nature, well, the gig's up, basically. But so it's really important right now for us to shift our relationship to nature into one that is respectful, that's kind, that's loving, that's communicative. Super important about our communication with nature. So that's what co-creative partnership is all about. And it's pretty crucial right now to shift into this kind of a relationship.
Yeah, it feels so essential. And even shifting from that aspect of being in survival to thriving, how do you really see plants and nature supporting us in making this shift from this survival experience into thriving?
Well, my relationship with the plants is very deep, and it has been for a long time. Okay. Plants and people have a very symbiotic relationship. I mean, we wouldn't be here on this planet if it wasn't for plants. I mean, all of our breath, all of our tissue, all of our food, that's just physically. I mean, emotionally, we have biophilia, biophilia is actually you could describe that term as love for life processes, love for nature. And it's a two-way street. It's our love for nature and it's nature's love for us. And so on an emotional level, even there's this like, and there's this whole hypothesis right now that we actually have within our genetic makeup the need, and it's not the want, it's the need to be in close proximity to that which sustains us, i.e., plants and trees. So, so we're in this super symbiotic relationship. So emotionally, we're connected in with plants because of this bonding that happens, and it engenders this love relationship, really. Cognitively, we're symbiotic related. There's this notion that once plants, and this was like 1.3 billion years ago, not million, billion years ago, plants started to make decisions and choices. And so there's, within the science now, what's being spoken about is that this was the beginning of what we would call higher mind. And it was the beginning of the evolution for us to be able to have conscious awareness, basically. So cognitive, intellectually, we are symbiotically related to them. And then there's the spiritual symbiosis too, which I feel like that's what's really up right now, is that the plants, they always precede us in our evolution. Plants always precede their animal counterparts in evolution. So right now, what's happening, because there's been this huge explosion in working with plants, not only on a psychotropic level, but flower essences, which have no chemical constituents in them at all. It's strictly the vibratory resonance of the plant. Then there's plant spirit healing, which I work with, which you don't even need to ingest the plant. So there's been this big, in the last, few decades, there's been this huge explosion in plants of that nature. So I look at that and say, oh, the plants are just preceding us in our evolution one more time. And this time it's of a spiritual nature. It's about raising your consciousness. It's about raising your consciousness to the point at which you stop destroying the planet, basically. And so these plants are stepping up to a new level of helping us to raise our consciousness to the next level, which we're not talking survival mode. We're talking thriving into, kind of that world we all know, well, we all hope is possible. That is, I'm going for peace on earth, to be honest. I'm holding out for that. So, but it's at that level. It's like really jumping it up a few notches for everybody, not just the chosen few, everybody, to do this and to be able to start to live sanely. That means we stop killing each other, live sanely within the collective. So that's what the plants are doing right now, is they're really initiating us into what it means to be truly human and living sanely. So meaning that it doesn't mean that we're all little carbon copies of each other and we're all think exactly alike. It doesn't mean that. Because when you look at nature, what do you see? A lot of diversity. And it's the diversity, that interaction, that interdependence, that really makes life live in a very thriving way. And so that's what the plants are guiding us into right now, is that level of cooperation with each other. So it's pretty big.
It is. It's huge. And I just love how there's this, there are these incredible multidimensional beings of healing. They're around us all the time. We call them the plants. They have a name, they're called the plants. And also just this thing about how there's so much chaos happening right now planetarily, there's a lot of questioning around, okay, what's the next best step forward? How do we navigate through these times, right? And it's amazing, like you're saying, we have these incredible guides. We actually do have a map. It requires a different way of perceiving than maybe we're used to in the linear mind, but the map is right here and the map is all around us. And how is nature, like you're saying, collaboratively working together in all of its many diverse facets that we can learn from that. There's so much to learn from that. And so related to that, I would love to hear anything you have to share about how plants really help us reclaim our birthright of connection with nature.
Yeah. Well, it like you say, I mean, it's all here. The map is here for us. And actually the map is here too. It's inside us. It's just that we've fallen into this deep amnesia and we've forgotten. We've just forgotten that we actually are a part of nature. We're not separate. We're a part of nature, but we've forgotten that. And this modern world that we live in does not support that. And and so I feel like this separation from nature is kind of one of the original wounds. Anytime you're separated from that which sustains you, that which gives you life, and this is on many levels. Kind of like the foundational one is separation from nature. Then there's the separation from your mother. I mean, being separated at birth, even. I mean, there's many layers of separation. But so when we forget, when we fall into this amnesia and we forget that we're a part of nature, and then the actions that we start to take might look like, oh, treating nature as a commodity instead of the amazing beingness that it is, with so many gifts to offer us and so much sustenance for us. So, what did you ask again? Something about thriving? I'm sorry.
Well,
What did you?
really,
Oh, the plants? I mean,
it's
yeah, I know we're talking about plants, but I oftentimes go off and then I'm like, what are we supposed to be talking about here?
I mean,
Just remind
it's all
me.
connected, right? And really
All
that's the
connected.
question of how do plants really help us come home to that
Oh,
connection with
yeah,
nature?
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, the plants are so generous with themselves on, again, on all levels. I mean, they're generous with the food that they provide for us. They're generous with the medicine that they provide for us. They're generous with the way they make us feel, like the feel goodness of them. They're generous in their beauty. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on and on about how generous that plants are with us. And the other thing that I've noticed is that plants have our backs. I mean, they want us to succeed. It's kind of miraculous to me how it, there's no, oh, the kind of human traits kind of stuff. There's none of that with plants. They really want us to succeed, and we're kind of like their little brothers and sisters that they're kind of bringing along, like they're trying to like help us along, and they're just these amazing. So anyway, um, so these plants, like for example, I when I back in my early days, I used to do consultations with people on around health issues and all of that. And instead of people coming to me, I would go to them. I would go and do the consultation at their place. And I would arrive about 5 minutes early and I'd take a little spin through their yard or wherever they were living to notice what plants were growing. 9 times out of 10, whatever was going on with that person health wise, the plants were right there. And then I started like kind of like testing that out. And then I started doing things like um, noticing or asking others to notice, or noticing even for myself, if who showed up around me. And was that a plant that I had called out for? Or is that a plant that I personally needed? Or was it one that I needed to be working with other people with? And I'm telling you, These plants are these incredibly intelligent beings, and they show up when you need them. And this is and again, this works on all levels. So, I mean, I've got so many stories I can tell you how they show up for you. Um, you know, like when the volcano goes off in Iceland and you're in London and you're trying to get home and you can't because there's no airplane. And then you're trying to get over to Ireland to stay with your friend so that you don't have to stay in a skanky hotel in London for who knows how many days and pay a lot of money. And so you go to the desk clerk at the hotel you stayed in thinking you're going to fly out the next morning, and she says to you, go out on the corner and catch the red bus. And you go out on the corner and the red bus, all the buses are red. And so then you stand there and be like, what what do I do now? And you say to yourself, to your one of your best allies that you have is white pine, your tower of strength. And you say, white pine, I need help and I need it now. Like now. And walking up the street comes this lovely businessman who's from India, Indian descent. And he says to you when he sees you in distress, how can I help you? And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Let me just see, because the voice is going off in your head that says, don't go off with a stranger, which is my mother's voice, not my voice. I turn to the side. I say, okay, should I go with this man or not? My heart goes ping. And I'm like, oh, good. Okay, we're good. I turn around and say, okay. So we get on the right bus. He gets out his little device and looks up schedules and all that kind of stuff. We go on the bus and we get off, and he walks me down to the train station and he helps me buy my ticket. He walks me out onto the platform. Don't forget, you have to change trains in such and such a town. And then that train will take you to the boat that's going to take you to Ireland so that you can have a place to stay with friends who love you. And that's what you're going to do. And so I then get on the train and then I say, wait, as I'm standing on the step, as I'm getting on the train, what's your name? All this time, I don't know his name. And he says, Hans. And I said, oh, I got on the train and I said, Hans, an English businessman from India, Indian descent, named Hans. Okay, like who was that anyway? Was that an angel? Was that white pine? Like, who was that? The point being here, I asked White Pine for help and it was immediate. Now you might say, oh, that's just a coincidence. Nope. No such thing. Sorry. So anyway, plants are here to help us, to guide us, to help us take it to the next place on this planet, to kind of move away from chaos and crisis into, as Charles Eisenstein would say, the world our hearts know is possible, the incredible, beautiful world that our hearts know is possible. That's what the plants are helping us to do right now, are kind of waking us up to show us how that's possible. So, and like I said, I can tell you so many stories where these plants have shown up and how they show up. And it's kind of in unusual ways. Sometimes you have to pay attention. And it's not like, our communication with them it's a little bit like learning a new language, although except that we do know the language. We just need to remember the language. And the language is not quite the same as you and I. We do these sounds that come out of our mouth, and that's how we primarily communicate. And I'm not saying that you might not hear words in your head when you're, communicating with a plant. You might, but that's a translation. It's a translation of the plant's way of communicating, which in the biological world, the foundational way of communicating is light and sound, and the vibratory resonance of light and sound. That's it. That's the basic form of communication. And you might say to yourself, what are you talking about? Well, everything has a vibration. So you're really paying attention to the vibration, and it gets transmitted through light and sound. So that was a lot about whatever that last question was.
So great. Well, thanks, Pam. I mean, yeah, just
I mean, you know me, just ask a
love you.
question and
Yeah.
I'll go off and talk
So
about
great.
who knows what, but hopefully it'll be something people want to hear about.
Absolutely. And so, I mean, this is a big one. So tell us, how can people find out about you, your work, your book, Co-Creating with Nature, Co-Creative
Okay.
Partnership with
Okay.
Nature?
Yeah. Okay. So my website is wakeuptonature.com. Wakeuptonature.com. And any classes that I'm doing or other kind of summits or podcasts and all that's on the website. I have my new book, which is very exciting, Co-Creating with Nature, Healing the Wound of Separation. So it's a book that's, I mean, it goes into a lot about like, how did we get here? How did we get to this place of such massive separation that's caused seemingly so much, um, well, I hate to use the word chaos, but it is kind of chaotic right now. And environmental crisis is now, it's not even climate change anymore. Now it's, climate crisis or so, I'm not a doomsday person and I don't really like to speak in those terms, but there's some reality here that we really need to come to. And so I talk about that. I talk about that reality. I talk about how we got here and then how we shift, which is kind of partly what we're talking about here. Is like, how do we make this shift into another way of being? And how do we let ourselves be guided by the plants? One of the sections, well, it's about a third of the book actually, is about plant initiations. And plant initiations is an amazing way to go deep with one plant. It's in a ceremonial context. The way I do them is 3 days with one plant, and we do all kinds of things with the plant to get to know it really well, to get to that place where you and the plant merge. The plant really helps you to, again, kind of remember who you are, answers those two big questions: who am I and what am I doing here? So that happens, and it's just it's amazing process, and spontaneous healings happen during the plant initiations. So one of the sections in this new book is all about plant initiations and some of the ones that we've done recently. And it's not just all of my stories, but I also have some of my students' stories and some of the people who have attended the initiations, their stories. And so it's a very rich and very different way of engaging with the plants. A lot of books, plant books now are, take this for that, which is all great. I mean, it's wonderful to know all of that stuff. This is at another level. This talks about the gifts of the plants that come in more emotional, mental, spiritual ways than physical, even though physical healing can take place during these initiations. So that's the book. Is I think I like it. I think it's a pretty good one. I think there's been some really great reviews about it, and some people are saying some great stuff about it. So yeah, I would really encourage everybody to pick one up and check it out and see how we can. It really is a lot about how we can shift into more what I would call interbeing. I speak about interbeing in the book. This is a word that was coined by, actually, I think it was actually coined by Freud or somebody like that. But Thich Nhat Hanh, who was the Vietnamese monk, he made it that word more popular, which means interbeing means connected and interdependent. And so there's kind of another level of connection of like, we're actually really need to be dependent on each other instead of doing this lone wolf thing. Like, that time is way over. We need to collaborate. We need to cooperate. We need to be together and do things together. And that it's much more efficient and effective when we combine all of our energies together. So interbeing. So it talks about interbeing and just how we can really shift into the new earth, into the one that we know is possible. So yeah, so that's how people can find me. And you can, on my website, you can see the initiations that we have coming up. either here in Vermont where I am or in other locations too. Yeah.
Well, thanks so much, Pam. Just always a joy to connect, and yeah, just so wonderful what you're doing. So thank you for being here.
Oh, you're welcome. Absolutely.